Biafra, superstars, media.
My people, my name is Biafra Superstars Media. Today I present to you a man I love, a man that went through hell, a man that saw the Biafran war as a child, a man who had kwashoko during the time of the Biafran war, a man who saw his mother, his sister being pied by the Fulani soldiers during the Biafran war. A man who has asked me to share my platform because he wants to speak through to power. The more he speaks, the more the stress, the more the burden is relieved in his heart. Fellow Biafrans, people around the whole world, those that claim they believe in Nigeria, I present to you the Biafran golden child, the real Biafran golden child, not that idiot that calls himself the Biafran child. Shame unto him. Somebody who didn't see the war called himself the Biafran child. Today, I present to you somebody who was there, a person who was there when the Red Cross gave them their gari and soup. As they are carrying the gari and soup into the bushes to feed their parents as a child, the Nigerian military will stop them, take the soup off them, drink the soup, and only give them the gari to take into the bushes. These are stories you will hear from our brother, the Biafran golden child. He's got so much to say. And without any further ado, I present to you the Biafran golden child. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good evening, once again, depending on where you're listening from. Still grateful, like I keep saying, the Biafra Superstar Media, for always giving me an opportunity to, express my feelings to our fellow Biafran brothers. Yes, when I sent the last audio where I was talking about, when I said we will never forget, never again are we going to forget, a lot of people reached out to me and they were telling me, they were asking why I'm remembering something that has happened over 50 years ago, over 52 years ago, over 54 years ago. I mean, why are we still remembering such incidents that they are in the past? But how are they mistaken? They are highly mistaken because what we see even in recent times is a clear indication that, the feelings have not changed. It's a clear indication that Nigerians have not changed in their attitude towards the Igbos. I mean, you don't say it's in the past, that the Biafra was in the past, 1966 to 1970. I mean, why are we still remembering it? Has the Igbo man's life not improved since then? Yeah, but the truth must be told. In recent times, even in recent history, there's a lot of discrimination, there's a lot of blackmailing, there's a deliberate policy to make the Igbo man a second fiddle. It is not hidden anywhere. In daily business life, in our factories, in our industries, in our general life, the general impression has been to continue to subjugate the Igbo man's, aspirations, his inventions, and and the opportunities given to him are thwarted or deliberately frustrated. Yes, I'll give you some examples here. This is not 1967 anymore. This is not 1968 anymore. This is not 1970 anymore. But this is current history. This is current happening. You know. So the never forget thing is not only meant for the Civil War. It is still, Um, Very relevant today as it was yesterday. Yeah, because the feelings have not changed. There's still a deliberate policy to make the Igbo man, you know, uncomfortable, unproductive, and second fiddle even in his father's land. You know, yeah. So you're welcome. Let me remind us of an adage. You know, an adage, especially an Igbo adage that says, "He who hears his brother's cry should not run away." If you hear your brothers cry, you don't run away. Uh, we say it in Igbo. "Ọnụnụ be nwanne ya agbala ọsọ." You know, when you hear your brothers cry, don't run away. Yes. Yeah, I think it's time to say, never again shall the Igbo man be discriminated against, or his life be economically ruined, or his mandate be openly stolen from him. These are things that are in recent history. It's not 10 years ago, it's not 20 years ago. It is a current happening in this country called Nigeria. Let me give us three examples here. You know, let's speak about one of our brothers, an entrepreneur, a manufacturer, and a man who said he's not going anywhere. I want to make my, manufacturing here in Nigeria. I want to make Nigeria proud. Yes, we are talking of Innocent Motors. Innocent Motors, Yes. So there's nobody who doesn't know about the Innocent Group, the Innocent Motors, owned by our own brother, you know, from Newi, our own brother himself, you know. So we all know what has been happening. Innocent Motors has been manufacturing state-of-the-art cars, vehicles, duty vehicles, uh, SUVs, sport utility vehicles, and vehicles that are, custom made for whatever purposes, intended. Now, Innocent Motors is located, domiciled at Newi in the eastern part of Nigeria. A lot of West African countries all over the, West Coast, they come here and they buy his vehicles. A lot of people outside Nigeria come and buy his vehicles. But it's unfortunate that to date, Nigerians are still, especially the Nigerian government, especially Nigerian elites, they prefer to go to Japan, they prefer to go to America, they prefer to go to China, they prefer to go to Canada and buy vehicles. But this, our brother, this Igbo man, who has created his own, a multi-billion dollar, motor vehicle manufacturing plant here in Nigeria, fully assembled in Nigeria, all kinds of vehicles, even bulletproof cars. Our brother has to source, his buyers from outside this country. Our brother have to source, you know, a customership from other countries in Africa. Isn't it a shame that our senators, our presidents, they are importing bulletproof SUVs from Japan at exorbitant costs, at a massively exorbitant costs, into this country. But here is somebody domiciled at Nnewi who can give them far better vehicles that are fully geared, fully tropicalized for Nigerian roads. They go to Japan, the other SUV vehicles, with all the ESTA codes, with the foreign currencies in our reserve. But our brother here at Nnewi, nobody wants to look at him. It's still the same manipulation. It is still the same, strangulation. It is still the same effort to make the Igbo man a second fiddle. It is still the same effort, that is orchestrated by the government and people of Nigeria to frustrate the Igbo man's business economically and otherwise. Otherwise, what does it take to drive to Nnewi, order these vehicles, whatever vehicles you want, that are tropicalized for our road, that knows our roads, that knows our tropics, that knows that, the Nigerian roads, however it is, a Nigerian should know a Nigeria better. A Nigerian should know our roads better. But they prefer to go to Japan. They prefer to go to China. They prefer to go to Canada and buy exorbitant bulletproof SUVs for themselves, for their families. I think it's very painful. I think whoever is not looking at that is not serious, because this is marginalization. This is a sign that the Igbo man is still treated as a second-class citizen in his country. I mean, what does this take them? What kind of assurances do they want? What kind of engineering, technology does not have to give them any vehicle they want? State of the art, duly and fully constructed, designed according to what they want. I mean, why go to America? Why go to Canada? Why go to Japan? Except you want to frustrate this man. But thank God, anyhow, like I keep saying, the Igbo man is resilient. At any point in time, he's ever self-improving. He's ever self-resourcing. He makes sure he survives. And that is the blessing that we have. Despite the apathy towards the nursing motors, despite the apathy towards his vehicles, despite the fact that his vehicles are cheaper and the prices can equally be negotiated. What do we see? The government is still squandering hard-earned currencies, hard-earned foreign exchange on foreign vehicles. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a big one. We must say it's a big one. That is an effort. It's a discrimination of the highest order. You know, you're not seeing it surviving. I mean, it's going on. We don't, like we said, we don't look at Nigeria to survive. We don't need their politics. We don't need their economy. On our own, we are self-regenerating. So innocent motors, kudos to you. No matter the discrimination, no matter anything they are planning, no matter trying to even ridicule some of your efforts, you are still standing out. People are buying your vehicles, and those who have bought it are attesting to its durability, its stability, and its assuredness to survive in these Nigerian roads and tropicalized environment. So never again we have been discriminated. We have been Nigeria, the Igbo man has been frustrated, but we are saying never again. We are used to it. It cannot be. It's not only in the past. You don't tell me it's 50 years ago, it's 54 years ago. Currently, these are happenings here. Let me give you another example. Let's look at the Airpeace Nigeria, owned by our own brother, Allen Oyema. A lawyer by training. The man came into this country, Oyema came into this country and saw that one of the needs we have is an aviation industry. I mean, seeing what has happened to Nigeria, from Nigeria Airways, Air Nigeria, all that ended a complete fiasco. Because of course, when you think you put people there, you're talking of federal character. You put people who are not qualified to be in certain places. You put round pegs in square holes because you want to satisfy federal character. I mean, how will it survive? It can never happen. It can never generate anything positive. And so they had the Nigeria Airways crumbled, despite the multi-billions in terms of foreign exchange, in terms of dollars that were spent in Nigeria Airways. It's to no avail. It's crumbled. The so-called Air Nigeria that became a monumental fraud, an opportunity for the Buhari government to, and its allies, to eat and to strangulate this country financially. It was a monumental fraud. Air Nigeria, and an aircraft was painted from Kenya and painted as Air Nigeria, which never worked, which never survived. It was a fraud, the highest level of fraud in this country. But nobody looked at it. Nobody cared, But this gentleman, Yalen Oyema, brought his Airpeace into this country. And slow and steady, he has been gaining momentum. He has been continuous and consistently, making inroads into both international and local flights. We can see how our brother on his own, single-handedly, he created a lot of impact when there were Nigerians who were stranded in Sudan. Students were stranded in Sudan. Nigerian residents were stranded in Sudan during the war. We saw what happened in xenophobic South Africa, how this same brother rallied round. He got his flights ready. He went to South Africa, on humanitarian grounds, and brought our brothers back and brought Nigerians back from South Africa. He didn't do it only for the Igbo. He didn't do it only for the Eastern people. He did it for all Nigerians. If so far you're a Nigerian person, get into the flight and come back home. Don't let them kill you. This man did it. Even in Ukraine, when the Ukraine war started, when Russia invaded Ukraine, Nigerians were stranded there. This same man stood up on his own He went around, he still helped Nigerians. He brought them back to this country safely. I mean, this is an Igbo man. This is an Eastern man. This is an Biafran man. But what has Nigeria done for him? Despite this humanitarian effort, despite this, a man who he has stood out from the crowd. His airline has done everything no aircraft, no airline has done in Nigeria. But who recognizes it? Sometimes they frustrate him. In recent times, even the international airlines were all against him, saying the way he brought down the price. He brought down the price to go to Europe. He brought down the price to go to England. He brought down the price of international flights. He was ready to bring it down. But they all, as if there was a gang up, international flight gang up against him. And everybody was calling Airpeace, you are a saboteur, Airpeace, you are doing this to push us out of business, Airpeace. What did the government do? Did they give him any special attention? Did they give him any special place in the history of aviation in those country? No, because he's an Igbo man, because he's a Biafran man. Everything he does is a solo effort. He's a solo effort. He has to get it himself. He has to fight for himself. Iko Tuonya. That is what we do in Biafra. Iko Tuonya. It's strictly you or nothing. So every Igbo man fights for himself. This is our own brother. This is an Igbo man who has been helping internationally, locally, otherwise. He saved our Nigerians' lives in South Africa. He saved Nigerians' lives in stranded Nigerians in Sudan. Even in Ukraine crisis, he did a lot. What did they give to him other than call him a bad name? You give a dog a bad name just to kill it. You give a dog a bad name just because you hated it. Nobody clamored around Allen Oyema and Airpeace. They want to frustrate him. But like the resilience Igbo man is, like the man who has success as his DNA, like the man who knows failure is not an option, Oyema, Allen Oyema's Airpeace has continued to survive, has continued to achieve greater heights. And so wish him all the best. Never again, nobody shall strangulate our people economically. Never again. Look at another example. Let me just tell you, for those of us who are saying, why are we still crying for Biafra? Why are we still crying for marginalization? Are we still being marginalized? Look at this recent example, my brother. Consider this one, my sister. Let's look at Mr. P2B. Does that name ring a bell? P2B of the Labour Party. Who does not know P2B? Even in Nasarawa market, even at Ogbomosho market, even at a Warri, a foreign Warri, they all know who. Okere market at Warri, they all know who P2B is. Who doesn't know him? In Bauchi, they know him. P2B came out, a gentleman by excellence. He got into politics. He contested in the 2023 election amongst Elijah Abubakar of the PDP, Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC. Himself was from the Labour Party. The gentleman campaigned like every other person. He used his life to campaign. People who know him, people who knew his antecedents as governor of Anambra State, they know how he managed Anambra State with the highest level of excellence. They know his character. He's a man of integrity, soft-spoken, but yes, a man gifted in all ramifications of life. He's a man who stands his ground. When he says he's A, he's A. This is a man who, at every point in time, is dotting the I's and crossing the T's. This is a man up to tomorrow, even up to the last few months, I think a month or so, the FCC brought out names of all the governors that were, brought for fraud, that were accused of fraud, for embezzlement, for turning state resources into their private resources. P2B's name was not there. P2B's name was not there. Even the EFCC, the government machinery, to investigate crime, pursue crime, and achieve, arrests, said they did not publish his name. His name was not amongst those published. There, in that list, there are current senators, there are current governors, there are ministers, there are all kinds of political leaders. Their names are there. Rogues, people who defrauded their states, people who stole from a common purse, people who took the cookie, who went to the cookie jar of their states, of this country, and took what did not belong for them. What did not belong to them. People who ripped their people off. in the name of politics, in the name of service, either as senators, either as governors, either as House of Reps, either as ministers. Peter Obi's name was not there. But this man came out 2023 to campaign to lead this country and to take Nigeria to a greater height. He spoke to them in his soft voice. He spoke to them, and Nigerians were endeared to him. Everybody wanted to know what this man can do. They remember the biblical story of Peter that we were told in the Bible that Peter, I'm giving you this key. Upon this rock, you shall build my. Peter, you will take this church to the next generation. And when they heard this name Peter, it sounded to them like magic. Let's give him a trial. Let's see what Peter Obi can do. The whole Nigerians, even in Zamfara market, we are hearing Labour Party, Peter Obi, Peter Obi. And then what happened on the day of election? Because of Peter Obi, and that people wanted to give him an opportunity, what did they do? People who didn't have, before the election, those who have never voted in their lives, went around, made every effort to get the voting card. They said, look, let this vote count. They went around, people who have never voted, they went around and got their voting cards. Everybody was saying, let's see what February 14th will be. February 14, 23, the day of the presidential election. Everybody, both the sick, both the young, both the elderly, everybody came out. The market woman, the aristocrats, the lecturer, everybody came out. Students, artisans, vulcanizers, everybody came out. Carpenters, every one of people came out. Let us do our vote. Let our vote count. That's what they said. And they came out in the sun. They came out in the rain. No matter the delays from the so-called INEC digitalized voting system, accreditation system, digitalized, everything digitalized. They suffered through the sun. They suffered hunger. They suffered all kinds of indignation, standing, waiting for late arrivals of political voting materials. And yet, they waited. And they voted. They voted. And when they voted, some of them stood there. They stood there because they wanted to be sure that their votes counted. They wanted to know what will happen. They are okay. INEC said this one is transparent. INEC said it's instant. As you're voting, the counting is instantaneous. There's no manipulations, no opportunity for nobody is doing. Stand there and there your votes will count. There and there you know who is leading. There and there you know the achievements of your candidate. So people waited. People trusted INEC. People hoped on the fact that, yes, this time our votes will count. 2023, it will count. Let us see who will do the math. What will happen now? Let us see what will happen. And, true to type, they started counting the votes. And fortunately, at that initial stage, INEC did its real job. The countings came. Probably they didn't expect what they were seeing. And we started seeing countings. Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party, all over Nigeria. Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party. I think it shocked them. It shocked them. They didn't expect it. Even in Ibadan, Lagos, Oyo State, Labour Party, Ondo State, Labour Party, Zamfara State, Labour Party, Kaduna State, Labour Party. They were hearing Lagos State, Labour Party. Jos, Plateau State, Labour Party, Benue State, Labour Party. I think it shocked them. They didn't expect it. And so they started their magic. The abracadabra started. And they turned around. Everything that was Labour suddenly became APC. Everything that was Labour, became all of a sudden, APC. The numbers suddenly stopped coming for APC, for Labour Party. Everything started coming into APC. Beyond mathematical projections. All of a sudden, APC that was nowhere, it was now BAT. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, APC, APC, APC. Oh my God. People were shocked. I mean, those who were at the polling centers, they saw the results. They saw what was counted, how many people were counted. Of 500 people, when they counted the votes, 480 something were Labour Party. Of 600 venues that had 600, 480 were Labour Party. Venues that had 1 million for voting, the votes counted, was 800 and something for labor. I mean, people were flabbergasted. People were shocked beyond measure when they started hearing figures. Suddenly the figures changed. Somewhere that Labour Party was supposed to have 800 votes. Now we're seeing 80 votes, 100 votes. And the APC that had 117 votes is having 1,170 votes. Oh my God, it was daylight robbery. It was daylight robbery. P2B was robbed. Oh my God. What really happened? The whole world was aghast. We are shocked. This was P2B during an election that attracted, celebrities from all over America and Europe. Everybody endorsed P2B. Celebrities from even outside this country, apart from celebrities within Nigeria, who did not endorse P2B. But what happened? What happened? At the time the result came out, it was a colossal failure. It was a gargantuan, robbery. P2B was relegated to number 3. Bola Ahmed Tinubu was announced as the winner of the election and duly elected as the president of this country. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar was given the second position. I mean, do you need binoculars to look again? Do you need an extra ear to be told what had happened? Of course, the same Nigeria agenda. Never give an Igbo man a chance. P2B is Igbo. Yes, he has the qualities. Yes, he has integrity. Yes, he's tested and tried. He was the governor in Anambra State. He performed excellence. But he's an Igbo man. If you put him there, he's going to run an Igbo agenda. If you make him have the head of state, Nigeria is finished. If you give an Igbo man chance, they will sell this country. If you give an Igbo man chance, wow, they will remember what the Aburi Accord. They will remember what happened to be in Civil War. Nigeria will be at a crossroads. They willingly, they mysteriously deprived P2B of the chance. And when people complained, when there were people complain here and there, when people threaten to go to cause mayhem and create chaos in this country, when people threaten to riot because this was daylight robbery. This was daylight robbery. Glaring, very glaring. This was the highest level of mischief and wickedness against an Igbo man. This was somebody's mandate fraudulently, openly, in full glare of the whole world, stolen from him. What did the man elected, the so-called Bola Ahmed Tinubu, what did he say? If you don't like the results, if you don't like the fact that I've been elected and duly elected, go to court. That was what the man said, thumping his chest like Nebuchadnezzar. He was hitting his chest and saying, if you don't like the results, you don't like the fact that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is now of the APC, is now duly elected, go to court. He said this was a sham. It's a very terrible sham. This was a very clear indication that even the Nigerian judiciary cannot be trusted. A very clear indication that you will never get, your due justice in the hands of the courts. It's so unfortunate. And to think that the INEC, that conducted this election was headed by a professor. A professor. Oh my God. What has the academia turned to? What has the academia turned to? A professor superintended and midwifed this election. And when, like an elephant, Nigerians expected an elephant to deliver an elephant was midwifed by the so-called professor who midwifed Nigeria's February 14th, 2023 election. The so-called professor midwifed an elephant, and an elephant delivered a rat. That is the highest level of wickedness, the highest level of stealing, the highest level of manipulation politically in this country. Election that was otherwise free and fair was turned into a political nightmare for Nigeria because P2B is an Igbo man. Well, gentlemen, let me just ask you, these three people above that I mentioned Innocent Motors, I mentioned Airpeace, Alex Oyema, I mentioned P2B. What do they have in common? What is their decimal point? What do they have in common?
The only decimal point they have is that they are from eastern Nigeria. They are Biafrans. They are Igbo men. And so anything concerning them should be jettisoned, thrown off. Good riddance to bad rubbish. That's what they said. Throw it away, let him go to hell. If he's not satisfied, go to court. Of course, we saw what the courts did. It was a sham judiciary, a sham jurisdiction. You know, we saw all that happen. And all of a sudden, from nowhere, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was elected. And he's been there 1 year after. What have we seen? Crass mismanagement, corruption at the highest level, a clear evidence that there's no economic agenda. I mean, you're coming to, you said the Miloko is my turn. You are ready to do it. We thought you hit the ground running. But what did we see? Nigerians have never suffered in any administration as they are suffering in this administration. This has been the worst. So far in his first 1 year, it has been adjudged even by Forbes that Nigeria, Tinubu's administration has been adjudged the worst administration Nigeria has ever had. It's not taking Nigerians anywhere. 1 year, suffering and starvation. Families have been disintegrated because husbands cannot provide for their wives and children anymore. Women have left with their children. Children are developing poor bellies now. You can't see even a meal, not to talk of a square meal. You can't see a meal. How many families can afford even Gary now? That used to be a staple food way back then. How many people can buy the Indomie? Indomie that Abokis were selling, Malams were selling. How many? 3, 2, give me egg. Indomie and 2 Indomie and 1 egg. 2 Indomie, 2 egg. 300, 200. Today, Indomie, to make a meal in Indomie, it will cost you 1,500. How many people can afford that? Gary that used to be a staple food for the common man. Gary, nobody can afford Gary anymore. Rice, of course, has gone haywire. Rice that used to be 8,000 a bag, 3,500 a bag. Rice is 90,000 a bag now. I mean, this is an administration that said, Emiloko, it's my turn. This was what INEC midwifed for Nigerians in an election that should have been one of the best elections Nigeria ever had. They robbed P2B, and where are we today? They have robbed Nigerians. They have turned everything aback, and we're in poverty and ruin. Nigerians are suffering terribly. There's no second, there's no, Nigerians cannot afford even a meal. How much is bread now? Even bread that's, oh my God, a bread of 2,000 naira cannot feed a family of 4. What is a family of, even a family of 2? Where can you see it? We are really, look at eggs. How many families can even afford egg? A crate of egg now is 5,000 naira from barely 1,000, from 800. Who can afford it? So it's just unfortunate. You see, the Nigerian people think they are, by their hating Igbo or preventing Igbo people from taking, their right of place in this society, economically, politically, or otherwise, that from frustrating them from showing their skills and talents, that they will kill the Igbo. But they're killing themselves. I mean, the so-called APC, the Yorubas who voted Tinubu, where are they today? They're even the ones who are crying the most, because the average Igbo man has, he doesn't look into this country. He's into his importation business. He goes out, looks for opportunities outside this country, outside this world, outside this country. They go to Europe, they go to Asia, they go to Americas, they go to China, and they bring in things, and they sell here. The Igbo man does not depend on the government. How many of them are in public civil service? How many of them are civil servants? How many of them are living in this country? They go out there and make their money. And so you that voted him, you people that manipulated the elections, you are the one who are suffering today. All in the bid to frustrate the Igbo man. All in the bid to stifle the Igbo man's creativity, talents, and endeavor, because he's a Biafran. Well, I don't know. God help us. The more they frustrate the Igbo man, they should realize the more you are frustrating him, the more you are denying him his opportunities, the more God is blessing him. Because failure is not in our DNA. The Igbo man is a highly resourceful person. And the more you frustrate him, like the proverb says, yes, when you are chasing the chicken, you'll be running, chasing the chicken. The chicken's own is to run. It keeps running. The chicken will be running, you'll be chasing it, or you will fall, because the way the chicken runs zigzagly, it runs here. You that's the chicken, you will fall. That's what the Nigerians are doing. They are chasing the Igbo man, chasing him, scatter, chasing here and there. But at the end of the day, they are the ones to fall. The Igbo man will run and run into his destiny. And that's why we're really happy, because all these things they are doing, the whole world has seen it. The whole world knows it, but they keep quiet about it. Britain keeps quiet about it. It midwifed Nigeria from colonial times into independent life. I don't know why Britain has a pathological, or seem to have a pathological hatred for the Igbos. I don't know how. It's just unfortunate. From the very beginning, ab initio, from the amalgamation period, 1914, even when there was clamor for independence, the Britain has never hidden it. On their own, they orchestrated a plan where the Hausa man, the Hausa Fulani man, was made the head of state of this country, in the person of Alhaji Tafa Balewa, who became Nigeria's prime minister. Meanwhile, Azikiwe, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, was made a mere figurehead. It's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I don't know what the Igbos did to Britain in particular, to England, why Britain would do everything in its arsenal to frustrate the Igbo man. It's just unfortunate. So this our brothers, what they have in common, the only reason why they were being denied the opportunity to showcase their God-given talents, is because they were Igbo. They happen to be from Igbo, Biafra'S. That's it. No more, no less.
Rest in peace to be Konsa. Biafran music. And I'm the Kano. Freedom's gonna come. Rest in peace to Konsa. Freedom's gonna come.